Okay, we are talking about Clojure syntax, and we will talk a bit more about evaluation. Next, we will consider how Clojure reads and evaluates expressions, and this is an example. This is the traditional evaluation in Java, and in Java the source code or .java files are read as characters by the compiler, the javac, which produces bytecodes, that is .classes files, with which can be loaded by the JVM. Okay, and in Clojure this is a bit more different, and the source code is read as characters by the reader. The reader may read the source code either from .clj files or be given a series of expressions interactively. The reader then produces Clojure data. The Clojure compiler then produces the bytecode for the JVM, and then you have the effect. Okay. There are two important points here. The unit of source code is a Clojure expression, not a Clojure source file. Source files are read as a series of expressions, just as if you typed those expressions interactively at the REPL. The second, separating the reader and the compiler, is a key separation that makes room for macros. Macros are special functions that take code as data and emit code as data. Can you see where a loop for macro expansion could be inserted in the evaluation model? Let's discuss structure versus semantics. Consider a Clojure expression like this. This is the expression, and here's the invocation for a function with two arguments. These arguments are numbers, and this function is expressed with a symbol. Okay, and this diagram illustrates the difference between syntax in green. This is the Clojure data structure produced by the reader, and the semantics in blue, that is how data is understood by the Clojure runtime. Okay, and most literal Clojure forms evaluate themselves, except symbols and lists. Symbols are used to refer to something else, and when evaluated, return what they refer to. Lists, as in the diagram, are evaluated as invocation. In the diagram, this list opening with a symbol and two numbers is read as a list containing the symbol plus and two numbers 3 and 4, and the first element where plus is found can be called function position, that is a place to find the thing to invoke. I'm talking about this place. While functions are an obvious thing to invoke, there are also a few special operators known to the runtime, like macros and a handful of other invocable things. Considering the evaluation of the expression above, 3 and 4 evaluate to themselves, they are longs. The plus evaluates to a function that implements the arithmetic plus. And evaluating the list will invoke the plus function with the 3 and 4 as arguments, okay? Many languages have both statements and expressions, where statements have some stateful effect but do not return a value. In Clojure, everything is an expression that evaluates to a value. Some expressions, but not the most, also have side effects. Now let's consider how we can interactively evaluate expressions in Clojure. The first, delaying evaluation with quoting. Sometimes it's useful to suspend evaluation, in particular for symbols and lists. Sometimes a symbol should just be a symbol without looking up what it refers to. An example here. And sometimes a list should just be a list of data values, not code to evaluate. Okay, here's an example. One confusing error you might see is the result of accidentally trying to evaluate a list of data as if it were code. In this example, we can see this error happening here, and it reports execution error, class as exception, because Java class long cannot be cast to Clojure lang ifn. And for now, don't worry too much about code, but you will see it occasionally in these methods to avoid evaluation of symbols or lists. Okay, I'm talking about this quote here. Thank you so much.